Throughout 2025, we have watched as tokenization has completely hit mainstream. Tokenization is no longer just a topic that you talk about inside of the crypto space. Outside of crypto, every big player is now addressing tokenization, the benefits of tokenization, and how big the tokenization space will essentially become. Looking at tokenization itself right now, total RWA value on chain about almost $36 billion. However, I do think that this is incorrect. I think that they are behind on updating this because if we're looking at public networks now, it's crazy to see this, but we're over $36 billion in total RWA value on chain. This is up about almost 7% in the last 30 days. And just looking across the board here, right, if we're looking at stablecoin 30-day transfer volume, the total stablecoin holders, and then also looking at RWA 30-day transfer volume, we could see that there is massive growth happening across the board for tokenization. Tokenization is no longer that, speculative side of crypto. I feel as if we go all the way back to roughly the beginning of 2025, from that point to now, we have watched exponential growth within this market. And the craziest part about it is that this is just the beginning for this side of the market. Now, if we're thinking about this, we are still looking at some of the top tier projects that are tied back to tokenization. And yeah, it's very easy to just say, all right, well, let's just look at the networks here. Provenance is number 1, Ethereum is number 2. So these are the ones that we have to focus on, right? No, I don't believe so. The reason why I say that is because, for example, I'm going to be focused on Stellar. I'm going to be focused on XRP. I'm going to be focused on XDC, HBAR. Why? Why would we focus on these projects if they're not in the top 5, the top, 10? And some of these are, like, for example, Stellar is a top 10 project. However, the main thing that I'm focused on here is, like, why would we, be 100% committed to these projects when we could just be looking at Provenance or Ethereum or Polygon, Avalanche? Well, the main reason is when it comes back to tokenization, right now we're talking about billions of dollars. I do believe that we will get to, a point where we are addressing trillions of dollars in tokenized value. But the problem with that is the networks in which that value will be living on. We cannot, and I truly mean this, we cannot have scalable use cases living on antiquated technology that cannot scale. I bring this up because there is so many networks out there in this space that can simply not, handle the type of demand that will be needed when we are seeing trillions of dollars moving over these networks. That's why I focus on projects like Stellar, like XRP, XDC, HBAR, because again, we know from tests, from POCs, from trials, that a lot of these networks can handle that scale. It's not so much about the value tied back to these networks, which, by the way, if we're thinking about some of these networks, yeah, the value is not that significant. When it comes back to Hedera, a lot of this is not even being tracked at this moment. We know that there's a ton of tokenized funds and tokenized, things added to the list for Hedera, but we have yet to see that value tracked. It's still in progress, but the main thing that we're looking at here is the underlying tech. Is the tech capable of handling scale? We know Stellar is, we know XRP is, we know XDC is, and we also know Hedera is. Now, I bring all of this up because, again, we know the opportunity here. We have gone through so many, predictions behind what type of growth there will be for tokenization. And this is not my prediction. This is, predictions from major players like Ripple and BCG. This is from Securitize. Tokenization is the single greatest opportunity in all of finance because, again, every single asset class, every single major financial market will be touched by tokenization at some point in time. The growth rate here, if we're looking at 2025 and 2026, we're just at the beginning phase of this. We haven't even hit like a major point around tokenization adoption or growth. I think most of that will happen from the 2028 onward period. So we have still in front of us a ton of moves to be made, a ton of opportunities in front of us as well. And we have a lot more to accomplish, a lot more to do as well. Now, to build on top of this, I go back to what Larry Fink said. Now, this got posted from Nick Goroshi back in October, but this is CEO of the world's largest asset manager. We're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets. Yes, includes ETFs. Larry Fink on his positively evolving attitude towards crypto. I grow and learn. Good lesson here. Check this out.
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board.
It's very loud here.
It is very loud.
But it's good. Capital's at work, Larry. You like that.
I love capital at work.
Yeah.
But there's $4.1 trillion of money in sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem. They can have their cash, and we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BITL. Our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
$100 billion, I know, from nothing not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
I love it now. But I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did say that.
So yeah, I mean, listen, when we think about what's happening here, yeah, we are seeing that shift in real time where almost every single large traditional financial name is telling us like, hey, we're just at the beginning of this. This is just a start, because they also recognize that we're looking at drops of water in the bucket. We're talking about $36 billion here. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but, to some of these players, like, for an example, BlackRock, that's nothing. They have $10+ trillion in assets under management. But then also, on October 30th, we saw another post regarding BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, and this is from Scott Melker. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset.
I would say the biggest question from central banks is, what is the role of tokenization and digitization? How quickly should they think about digitizing their own currency? What does that mean for the role of the dollar? If every currency digitizes and we have, what does that mean for bank payments? What does that mean for the payment companies like MasterCard and Visa? All these are being questioned right now. I think we spend so much time talking about AI. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset, and the opportunity we're going to have a digital wallet and moving ETFs and other things through a digital wallet. And I think that's going to happen worldwide very rapidly. And I think most countries are ill-prepared for that and underappreciate how technology is changing that, not unlike how technology is changing AI and other things. It will be changing the technology around the plumbing of finance.
And what he just said there is so crucial. It is so extremely crucial. It will be changing the plumbing of finance. That's the big focus. The plumbing. Why? Because almost all of the players from some of these networks, or maybe even the companies that support these networks, they have told us the plumbing is changing. It takes me back to what Ripple has told us many times over. We are the plumbers of the system. We are changing the pipes, essentially. What's crazier about all of this is that the IMF also recently put out a post on November 2nd, which was highlighting what is tokenization, why is programmable money useful. This is their latest Analyze This video. This is all regarding tokenization. This is coming from the International Monetary Fund. The BIS has told us that the Finternet is coming. It's all based around tokenization, all based around crypto, all based around AI. The central banks have told us the same exact thing. The BIS is essentially the central bank of central banks, but central banks themselves have also told us this. And then in a recent report, and big shout out to Financial Press for this, tokenized money market funds, the next big shift in finance. A new report by Global Digital Finance shows how BlackRock, State Street, UBS, BNY Mellon, Franklin Templeton, and Archix are bringing traditional money market funds on chain. Highlights: 30 plus major banks and fintechs tested tokenized money market funds, funds that settle instantly, stay liquid, and earn yield in real time. BlackRock, State Street, and UBS led pilots using Ethereum, HBAR, XLM, and Polygon. Franklin Templeton's Benji fund proved real-world viability for blockchain-native liquidity funds. Why it matters. This marks a real shift. Banks are using blockchain to boost efficiency, transparency, and global collateral mobility. Traditional money, digital rails, real yield. And these are all of the names tied back to this. Now, you might say, all right, with the layer ones, we have Basu, Canton Network, Corda, Ethereum, Hedera, Polygon, Stellar. Yeah, these are the layer ones. However, look at all of the other names tied back to this. Right off the rip, you have Archix, right? Archix, when I think of Archix, I go all the way back to their tokenization platform where they have Algorand here, Polygon, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Solana, Hedera, XDC, Etherlink, Stellar, XRP. I mean, guys, these platforms are tied back to multiple networks. But then you also look at all of the other names here: Deutsche Bank, Citi, BlackRock, JP Morgan. I mean, these are some of the biggest names in finance, all tied back to the sandbox. Now, what's even crazier to me is just the fact that people are still oblivious to what's happening here. All of the big players, every single big player is telling us that we are just at the beginning stages of this. And we are. Because again, when we are looking at the names tied back to these reports, I mean, you could just grab a few of these names off this list. And I'm talking about the actual names like BlackRock or Citi. Go look at how many assets they have under management. Every asset, and this is not coming from me, this is coming from Larry Fink. Every financial asset is going to be tokenized. This is where everyone is overlooking how big this will be. Because you don't just tokenize every asset. You tokenize it, bring it on chain, and then you do with it what you do in today's world of finance. You buy, you sell, you trade, you utilize that asset. This is where the real value hits the space. It's not just about tokenizing and bringing money on chain. It's about what you do with it after it's on chain. This is the big picture everyone's missing. But this is why we focus on these projects. This is why we focus on these networks, because these networks are essentially, crucial infrastructure that is essentially becoming the pipes to this new system. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.